Ketsu bird fly a kuatolea yo. Mitsiani in huakato tetlapani into lali yo. Black and the red of the ancient said it is close to the time of arrival.
I was going to bring a protractor and I forgot about it.
Mind the way?
No.
The serpent is ageless. It does have an approximate date of construction, but there is disagreement among archaeologists as well as earthwork aficionados and so forth regarding the true age of the serpent. One estimate says that you can find it by carbon dating, but so little carbon has been found and there's been no artifacts with that carbon, so that's kind of been thrown out. But carbon dating from 3,000 years ago and also from about 1,200 years, or about 1,000 years ago, has been found in the mound. But again, there's no burials in there. There have been burials of native groups from apparently 3 different time periods. One is the Edina Mound over here, which probably dates to about 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, 1,000 BC, or a little bit younger than that. The small mound over here, although it's been considered Hopewell, considered Edina, it may be, considered to be Fort Ancient or Edina, is probably going to be Hopewell, as it turns out, because many of the artifacts that were taken by the Harvard in the 1800s look from their photographic outlay to be Hopewell. Then there's another smaller mound when you come in the park, which is dated to the Fort Ancient period, which is confusing to some people. Fort Ancient culture was here in the middle or to late woodland period, and they apparently inherited Serpent Mound, and that's why a village site was found here, as well as a burial mound, and some carbon from their period was found associated with the earthwork. But the real dating, the real scoop on the Serpent Mound is yet to come out from archaeologists. Dr. William Romaine and a couple of his friends, Dr. Jared Burks and Dr. Bill Moynihan from the Glenn Black Laboratory over in IU in Indiana, did a study last fall that extended itself again into this year. And it looks like they may have some fresh data from doing core samplings. They may, because of new technology that weren't available when they did the carbon dating, will give us a fresher or more accurate date of the actual structure. But again, the site is very old. Beneath the Fort Ancient burial site, Frederick Ward Putnam found burials that went back, he said, to the oldest period that he'd ever discovered associated with human remains. And the reason he said that was because the people, and of course he was the main archaeologist for the eastern United States, or mainly during his period, because he had a seat at the Peabody Museum at Harvard. And his opinion was that because these bones were fossilized versions of humans, and because they weren't immersed in water, which can necessarily create a more rapid fossilization, replacement of the bone with minerals, in other words, he estimated that these skeletons could be extremely old. But again, in his time, they didn't know from skeletal material how they could date it, because they had no carbon dating, carbon-14, and they had no way of testing the bones otherwise. But because they were fossilized using iron, and because they weren't immersed in water, he felt that they could be of great antiquity.
Hey na 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 na, hey na ho, hey na.
The very tall stature was documented by the Smithsonian Institution, as well as a number of other museums, including museums in Columbus and in Cincinnati. And the reason they were documented so well was because they were unusual, and they got a lot of interest from the excavators. At the time these skeletons were unearthed, they didn't take plaster casts, and they didn't make any other or take any other precautions as we would today to preserve the shapes or the physicality of these bones. And so, because they were so amazing, they would try to disinter them, and oftentimes when they were exposed to the air, they would turn black and then crumble within hours, because the oxygen interacted on a long-awaited process that just was waiting for that particular gas to interact with the bone. And as soon as it did, it was like, you know, vampire, as you see in the movies, just crumbling to dust. That's what happens to old bones. But when they unearthed them, they looked perfectly fine, you know, yellow probably. In any case, the ones that were preserved, they attempted to carefully disarticulate, and they would oftentimes injure them or damage them in such a way where they would pulverize. But they were said to have been able to have retrieved a number of these skeletons and taken them back to the Smithsonian. Unfortunately for us today, the Smithsonian denies having any skeletons like this, even though we found the paper trail in their old annual reports. And this is not an unusual occurrence. Because of misunderstandings regarding measurement and the fact that they took no measures to preserve the bones properly, many of the physical anthropologists who inherited the bones either threw them out along with a lot of artifacts that they had collected in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because there was just too much and it all appeared to be just too big a storage problem, or they destroyed them for reasons having to do with political expedience, having to do with Indians not being credited with being fully human by the social Darwinism and other movements like the eugenics movement that was very popular in the early 1900s. In fact, one of the head of physical anthropology at the Smithsonian itself, Les Herlichka, was an active member of the Eugenics Society who did not believe in mixing the white race with the Negro race and so forth. And of course, at the time, social Darwinian theory suggested very strongly to the people, especially the Jim Crow advocates, that it would be unwise to consider at this juncture that Indians were fully civilized, or were fully on the level of intelligence as whites. And so as a result of all these things, the mishandling of the bones, the misanthropy, and the political problems attending these discoveries, the giants were lost.
Hey na 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 hey na ho hey na. Hey na 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 hey na ho hey na. Hey na 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 hey na ho hey na.
Zoom in on this or not. Get that horse jaw out of the way. But this little spot right here,
Yeah.
can you see that okay?
Can you see?
Try and get in on that.
I can get in on that.
All right. This is bedrock geology of Ohio. All right. This is the crater, actual size. And then this down here is a blow-up of it. And if you look at it closely, there's lines going all the way around the outside, dark black lines, and all through the center. So imagine a bullet going through glass. It shatters it from the inside out. So these craters, or this crater, is actually sitting on top of a fault that runs from here all the way down to a quarry just south of here called the Plum Run Quarry. That's a rift. That was in the ocean bottom all the way back to the Precambrian. It goes down miles in the sediment. So it's a natural fault in the earth, just like the San Andreas fault, like the New Madrid. It's not a big fault, but it's still a deep fault. So what we look at with these is, in faults there's energy. And energy affects weather patterns, it affects people, it affects car batteries, affects a lot of things, affects especially the weather. But these faults here, we're living on these faults right now. You're sitting on it, we're talking on top. I mean, this energy is coming right up out of the ground as we're talking. And the more active the sun is, we're finding out, the more active these faults are. Because this asteroid just decided to hit on top of this rift. It's the only place on Earth that's ever happened. So that's what's unique about Serpent Mound and about this whole area. I can't say for sure that this is what they would call a vortex, but there may be a spot somewhere in the crater that's more powerful than others. We know that the head of the serpent is powerful because of a fault that goes across it. And you can actually measure the energy there by dowsing. And there's some controversy about that, but anybody that's ever doused or anybody that can feel energy can feel it. So this crater has special properties in that respect. When the weather patterns come from the northwest or the west, 90% of the time they're deflected or they dissipate. And that's something that that wasn't, I mean, I expressed it when I did this thing on the TV. And they wouldn't bring it out because I mentioned the Weather Channel. But the crater itself has properties that are strong enough, and there's no difference in the topography between here and here. It's fairly flat. But what's interesting, when the weather comes across these faults, it just goes around it, very rarely. The farmers that live down in this area and in the crater, they know that this is a drier area than the rest of the area around it. On weather patterns, just 2 miles south of here, there's a bend in the road. That's where the faults, or what we call the ghost line of the crater. Okay. The ghost line of the crater whenever you get energy coming up out of the ground and weather systems cross it, you can have a huge rainstorm down on Peebles. When you approach the ghost line of the crater where it used to be, the rim of the crater, it stops. And it just happens to stop on that curve in the road. And that curve in the road has killed, since I've been here in '96, has killed 7 people. You can take that curve at 60 miles an hour. So that tells you that, especially in inclement weather like ice, you can go zipping down that road, and when you hit that curve, it'd be dry here, right at that curve, ice. Because the moisture forms outside of the fault. A good example of weather-related
as a lot of people are aware, the Serpent is built on part of an ancient meteor crater, and there are remarkable gravitational and magnetic anomalies right here in the park property, as in other parts of the crater, that cause compasses to give totally incorrect readings. I mean, you can walk around the park with a compass and you can just watch the needle continually move because it can't settle. The gravitational anomalies can be felt with the human heart, as well as some of the electrical and magnetic anomalies. So the Serpent couldn't have been found out to have any of these horizon alignments until that North Star alignment was discovered, which runs from the tip of the Serpent's tail to the apex of that hollow triangular feature that we consider to be the head of the Serpent. It's like a notch. Tip of the tail to the notch at the north gives you a true north line, not a magnetic north line, because as we know, magnetic north is constantly wavering, but a true north alignment that the axis of the planet, the central axis of the planet, is actually rotating around. Now, the Serpent also has an alignment to the constellation Draconis, at least a large asterism of the constellation Draconis, that shows the last pole star, which was called Draconis Alpha or Tuban, to be at the center of its geometry. So in the picture that you'll see, the Serpent is shown in the center of a circle that touches on its tail and tip, and right at the center of the 7th coil, which the Cherokee called where the heart of the Serpent is a star called Draconis Alpha. And so we think that the Serpent rotated around that point, which also happens to be the geographic center of the Serpent. So apparently they created the Serpent Mound to align to the constellation Draconis when that star in that asterism of Draconis was the pole star. And it's for that reason that we date the Serpent to about 3000 BC or 5,000 years ago, the end time of the period of enlightenment for the human race.
Yo hey way oh way oh. Yo hey way oh way oh. Yo hey way oh way oh. Yo hey way oh way. Yo hey way oh way oh. Yo hey way oh way oh. Your hey way oh way oh. Your hey way oh way.
I'm Yoli. This is my mountain. Got some really weird rocks here. I know that this area, this county and the surrounding counties I know are, had multiple Indian mounds. They call them Indian mounds, Native American mounds, burial mounds. And I've met a guy in town here that has collected artifacts for about the last 25 or 30 years. He's a Vietnam vet. His name's Danny Kebbles. He's got a little museum in town called the Mud River Museum in Hamlin. But he's got everything from arrow tips, different types of arrowheads, spears, pipe, he's got a little pipe that looks like a rattlesnake, made out of stone. He's got tomahawk heads, hammer heads, just a multitude of different artifacts that have been found all up and down this road, which is State Route 34. It runs south from Hamlin all the way out to Kenna in Kanawha County. But lot of history of Native Americans around here. I'm trying to think of the name of the Indians. I think it was that we had some Iroquois Indian here. I may be mistaken. I think I am.
Is that one that starts with an A?
It's not the Iroquois. They were up in New York. But Arapaho maybe. And I know that this area also has some Hopewell culture history. I've researched that since I found all the stuff on the hill. I've been on the internet pretty much solid, trying to figure out what it all is and who could have done it. But anyhow, we have some stone walls out behind us out here that run down the mountain in sections. There's like a 10-foot section. There's one section that's probably like 25 or 30 foot long. They're mostly buried, but after digging the leaves from around beside them, it looks like they're taller, but they've got the earth that's come up kind of to the top of them. But they're what I think are what they call Native American stone walls, which are found at a lot of Native American sites that have been declared true Native American sites. We got the stone cairns, the rock stacks, and I found a couple faces in stone that I just really feel were special to somebody at one time. This is my little dog Wiley. He's the mountain Sherpa. He takes us on all our trips up the hill. He's the best hiker I know. He has no fear. But anyhow, I'm really glad to have some people out here that have like interests that I do, as far as some of our American history that may not have been so forthcoming from our teachers and their teachers and their teachers. So I've just there's just a lot of stuff out here that I really think's a lot older than the Indians that I learned about, which are like maybe a little bit pre-Columbus and after. Anyhow, but I'm just a nurse, so I don't know.
I forgot that's where that was.
Hey, let's show them the beehive first, Jordan, and
All right.
the melted one after they look at that.
This is excellent. Yeah, but like all around this place, there's Indian artifacts discovered everywhere, you know, like all in every cornfield, you know, when they're plowed, you can walk down and find arrowheads. That's it. This one is the one this is the first one my dad found, I guess. Like, he was walking up here checking out the property, and he found this one. But my mom was trying to get me to like take some stones out of here to see what was in it, but I was like, no man, there could be like a body. Yeah. Yeah. All right, hold on. I'm letting him get a couple pictures of this.
The tomb cave is just to the left a little bit, right down there. And when you look inside it, it goes to the right. There's like a chamber or a hallway that goes to the right. And if it stayed going to the right, it would come right here. So I'm thinking, you know, if the dirt has fallen down here, that possibly this could have been taller. But to me, it looks like somebody has tossed rocks in there to keep you out.
Probably.
You can go up and have a look there. Just from like right here and scooped it out. We wanted to see how deep these flat walls went down to. Hey, check this edge out right here. Like this stuff. There's a couple things on there that look strange to me. But anyhow, we wanted to see how far these rocks went down. Like if this at one time could have been taller before possibly the foliage fell all in there.
If you dig it out or whatever.
So we took a small spade shovel and just dug some stuff out there, and it's just flat. And then when you look inside,
I wish we would have brought that spade with us. I meant to ask you for a shovel and I forgot.
Dude, if you can get up here, I'll get out of your way. Squat down here and look in there because the light is shining in there a little bit.
Can you do me a favor?
And there's a right and a left in there.
In my pack?
The rocks are stacked up there though, dude. Like the ones at top.
It does tee off.
Look how flat that is in there.
It tees.
Can you see it on the camera?
Yeah.
It looks cracked. And I'll tell you.
Yeah, dude, you can see it.
From the very front edge, on the left line that goes back.
Do a good pull out too,
Back.
if you
Okay.
can. So
That
you
looks
can
like it's
suck
cracked.
out
It
of
looks
it.
like it was
Oh,
there
yeah.
before.
If you want, you can hand me your camera and get out of the way.
In that
No, it's
place
alright, I got this.
and broke away from where,
This one down here.
well, this broke away from this,
Okay.
okay?
That was weird. And this was the one that lady from Sedona said that this was a portal. She thought it was a portal and for ascended masters or something like that, angels. And that I probably had fairies in my woods. I don't go that far to believe in all that, but she does. Anyways, so.
Can't discredit anything though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's strange. Well, there's a religion that fairy religion that studies all that. And actually, I looked at some of that stuff, not so much the religion, but just the signs and symbols and stuff they believe in. For one thing, there's holly trees all over this hill, and we got a lot of ash trees on this hill, which there's not a lot of ash trees in West Virginia. And oak. And holly, thorn, and oak trees together were considered sacred places to the Native Americans.
And all three are on this hill?
Huh?
All three are present on this
All
hill?
three. There's holly all over this part. See, there's one right here in front of the face.
Well, not to mention the dogwoods that are on this tree, or on this hill.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the woods.
In the neighborhood. Would you be mine?
Would you be mine?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Oh, you alright? I'm coming. Are you alright?
Then start at the bottom and then just tilt all the way up.
He's just an amazing wealth of knowledge.
Yeah,
You know? And it
he
just
was.
spews out of him. It's beautiful.
He's like a storyteller. He's like the exact person that you want running something
He's
like
like
this.
he's like a Caucasian elder, if you will.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That's kind of how I look at him. Here's that. This angle here shows, or this perspective here shows you that curve. Here's another place that may not have been a cave, but a residence cave. Because if you see, obviously people walk up here to check it out. But again, if you were sitting there, looking out.
Yeah, there's definitely evidence here that this thing is deeper.
Deeper, huh?
Deeper than what I am definitely seeing. They like cemented it or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Definitely try to document that.
I'm looking all around in here.
Dave, there looks to be like, hey Dave, there looks to be more white stuff right above that little ledge right there above you.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
It kind of fits the shape. It's an old puzzle. That cutout right here.
A little sun obelisk.
Lightning rod.
Here, put it together again?
Yeah. It's rough from this side, or this perspective necessarily, but again, erosion. That's a heavy stuff. A little bit more like that necessarily. Potentially.
mirror we call the mind. And when you still the mind, you can see your reflection in it. And that's what the Buddhists talk about when the mind becomes tranquil. And all the ripples stop going back and forth on the pond. Suddenly, when you see your reflection, you see the sunlight. And that's a type of what we call samadhi that leads to something called self-realization.
Catch whoever it is that's doing this. But something about that house, built by the Masons, all right? So is the shop. There's an energy field that goes through the front door of the shop, through the back door of the house, and the front door of the house. The house is designed so you can't see from one doorway to the next. Nothing is perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
And the Masons were grand at trapping energies because they understood them.
Right.
So my house traps energy. I had people come out and do work on it. The paranormal people, they had a ball. They were here for 2 hours. Well, they did a 2-hour study. They were here about 4. But they came in and they wired my house for sale. And I asked the one lady, she's never been on my property. I said, what do you think about energy splitting? How does that happen? She goes, oh, I know. And she gives me this big long explanation that if you live somewhere long enough, your energy is ingrained into that property. And when you leave, it's like a tape recorder, it just keeps playing even though you're not there. So I said, oh, that's kind of cool. I've never read about it, but it's kind of cool. Okay, that lady went with another lady upstairs and was in a room for 2 hours, supposedly. My wife was sitting on the porch, and after an hour, this lady who's never been in my house walked downstairs, out the front door, out in the front yard, turned around and walked back in the house. And my wife said, how's it going up there? And the lady didn't even look at her. She just walked right on in the house and up the stairs. An hour later, she came down with the other lady, and Terry said, and my wife is like this, she says, how come you didn't talk to me when you came down an hour ago? And the lady says, I've been up there for 2 hours. Hello? She argued with Terry about it. So you know what they did? They pulled the tape recordings. Sure enough, she came downstairs.
So as you can see in the geometries and the various astronomies and the other diagrams that I've been able to author on the serpent, that the serpent really is a catch-all for all of the knowledge of the ancients, including the knowledge of how we can reactivate the likes of the Serpent Mound using legitimate means, and no more orgone accumulators or machines stuck into the serpent, please people. We can do it through a much more powerful means using the natural forces of the earth. If we can get everybody to cooperate on this kind of thing. We can show how the serpent was used in the olden days as a literal scientific instrument that could easily draw the energy out of the earth and combine it with the energies of the sky to promote a healing and resuscitating energy that will again restore so much life force to the land that the trees will grow as large as they did in Avatar. And an intelligence, an innate intelligence will return between nature and people. People will begin to grow large again. And like I'm fond of saying, we're going to have fewer kids because we're going to get smart. populations will begin to dwindle, and we will live to be much older. And this is not a prophecy so much as it is a prediction in that if we all cooperate and think of the serpent as a good example on the way things may have been, this is just a dirt base for a beautiful Manitou that was once here, in my opinion, and that all the other beautiful earthworks in the Ohio Valley were actually residents for the various parts of the night sky, and when you combine them all, they make a beautiful dome, which you can see in Star Mound's legacy. And so the serpent, which is the center of the ancient night sky, was surrounded by a beautiful nest. And we think that the ancients intentionally left these clues for us because in reality, the serpent is the worm of the phoenix. You know the story of the phoenix? It starts out as a little glowing worm that contains all the knowledge of the parent bird, and then it grows and grows as everybody believes in it. You know, like Peter Pan believes in Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell becomes real. Well, the phoenix can be real because the ancients tell us that imprinted on the landscape, there was once a great figure, the head of which was the state of Michigan, the wings of which went out to the east coast into New England and into the Dakotas, and into the south were its legs, and it had 7 mighty cities, the great country of Gitche, Manitoba. And we tended to build our cities over those 7 mighty cities. The base city is where Tallahassee is. The next city, where the second chakra is where Atlanta is. And then you move into the Tennessee area, and right around the entry point to the mountains there. And then you move up into Lexington, and then into Cincinnati, and then into Lansing, Michigan, and finally Sault Ste. Marie. And this country was believed to have been a country that descended from a much earlier period, but was cast into an unenlightened state as the residents of the country fell into disagreement as to how the technology should be handled of the day. And when I speak of the technology, I'm speaking about when the phoenix first rose, the technology that was in the garden of the Ohio Valley was extended to the whole eastern half of the United States and spread out. And some say it was New Atlantis, but when the technology was extinguished, the lights from the lampions of their Manitous, of their altars, which the Cherokee call the crystals Ulanya Sut, were removed, and they no longer put out the lights fueled by the magnetic currents of the earth and the sky, and the people could no longer see into the happy hunting grounds. And this happened all over the world. It happened in England at Glastonbury. It happened in Egypt when the pyramids lost their capstones. It happened in Guatemala when the ancient Maya capstones were removed and their temple structures were lost behind green jungle. And it happened all over the planet. And we lost our memory about 5,000 years ago. And so, you know, there's a lot more coming, and I'm sorry that I can't talk more about it right now. But bear with us. We hope that you'll back us up and give a chance to these ideas and these new understandings that what we have here constitutes the possibilities of restoring the magnetic field of the planet and ending war, ending pollution, and giving everybody their spirituality back, ending this grip that the organized religions have on our supposed spirituality, extending genuine spirituality to all and love for all. So I got to go. I'm being called. So
Thank you so much.
okay.
So